immense expectation to fulfill. And when you fail that, then it becomes that changing identity thing, or losing a part of your identity.
Or what you thought was your identity, right?
Not really understanding the importance of the journey to being qualified, and it resulting in the greatest safety and benefit for the community. No. You're just focused, first 4 years in, I'm the cream of the crop.
Yeah.
I can't fail.
Also not to say that, and I think I've said this before, we need to loosen the screws as well. Like within the realm of safety, we can't gatekeep to a point where it excludes, if I'm saying it correctly. Like we do need to gatekeep for patient safety, but not for our own other agendas. And I think when you get humans involved, it becomes personal. It becomes about your color, about your gender, it becomes personal, right? It doesn't become about the patient. It becomes about
we lose sight
your own agenda.
On both sides. We lose sight of the ultimate purpose of the degree.
Exactly. Penny Keane always says when you start the hematology block, when it used to be face to face, she'd say, think about the person you love the most, and then think about the person who you'd like to treat that person. And if you are that person, or if your friend is that person, then great. If the studying you're doing is enough to treat that person, then great. But if it's not, then go home and study more, because that person you love the most needs the best care.
Sure.
You know? So yeah.
Tell me this, especially now that medicine wasn't open to everybody always. There was a time when Black people couldn't join the fraternity. There was a time when females couldn't join the fraternity. Now, everybody can become a doctor essentially as long as you get through the program. But we're experiencing a loss of clinicians in the professional space, especially in the public health sector. And that stress, that strain, and the hierarchy of how things work, and my mother would say, which translated means whose shoe rings there. That's the best I could do. Who wears the pants in the hospital? As far as we're all doctors, we're all professionals, we've all gone through the same system, but there is a hierarchy and there is a rank. And the stress you experience there doesn't start there.
No, it can't. It's the culture. It starts actually even before medical school, when you're doing well in high school and they say you should be a doctor, right? It's society starts to
it's
put
creating
that pressure.
the fertile grounds.
Exactly. And then when you come into this community and this culture, you're already primed. And so the culture just, okay, somebody comes and tells you you're the cream of the crop. Pressure already. Somebody comes and tells you can't kill somebody. There was this term that they used to call interns who would kill patients. Well, not kill them, but who would die at their hands. Yeah. They would call them 007, license to kill.
Sure.
You know? So there's all this pressure, and even when we're kids, man, when you're young, what do you want to be? You want to be a doctor? Even the fact that I'm doing medicine. Your marks are good, you should be a doctor. So that's already a pressure that's being put on you. And then you come into this space and the culture it's high stakes. Medicine, I often say, is not a hard degree, but to get in, everybody wants to be a doctor. So then it becomes an exclusive space.
Coveted.
Exactly. And then even those students who could have been a great accountant, I mean, there's somebody who could have been the Minister of Finance, wants to do medicine because it is the degree that everybody wants to get into. Then it becomes even more pressure. Like, oh my goodness, I got into medicine. Even though you're great at art, or you could be great at, I don't know, history, got into medicine, already there's that pressure. And then, as you say, the hierarchy. And I'm doing some reading. Hierarchy is not horrible, but it's what you do with that hierarchy, right? So
systematic function is necessary for something to work well.
Yes, for you to be safe. I'm an intern. Let's say, for example, I'm the intern. I can't take care of this patient. I know because of hierarchy, I can call the consultant, and he or she can take care of the patient because they have that knowledge and the experience. So it helps me, it protects me, it covers me. But also in the medical space, hierarchy can be toxic. I don't like to use that word because it's so common now, but it can be toxic, and it can break, and it can put you in a place that you never recover from. You just keep going, and then it's perpetuated. You
just keep surviving.
Exactly.
And then expect everybody else to survive.
To be like that, I did it, why can't you do it? Or I used to do this, why can't you do it?
Everybody's heard that line.
Exactly. My goodness, I mean, the expectations are enormous. And then they become normal. Like I remember when I was a final year, I was in, I don't want to say whose unit, but I used to come here for surgery. I had my surgery rotation, and the senior consultant expected us to be in the hospital at 6 a.m. and we were doing surgery during winter, and myself and my clinical partner had to walk down from Junction, because we stayed at Junction at night because it's all dark, and we get into the unit or the ward at 6:15, just 6:15, because we just wanted a little bit of light before we walked. And he looked at his watch and he looked at us and he continued the ward round. He didn't say anything. He didn't have to say anything.
You knew.
It meant something.
You
right?
knew.
Yeah. So
it was communicated.
Oh my gosh,
clearly.
the cues are all verbal, non-verbal. Everybody understands. Everybody, you know, this is how we run things. This is how things are supposed to be in this space. And there's also there's that fear that's put in you in this culture, like fear of this, fear of that, fear of always wanting to perform.
Yeah.
Always wanting to perform.
And carrying the responsibility of the world, everybody else on your own shoulders.
Exactly.
Otherwise, you're terrible, you're lazy.
Yeah, you're not enough.
So yeah, the medical space, I mean, we could transform the curriculum, we could transform students, but it needs to move, because the clinician is a student first, and then they are a clinician, and those spaces equally need to acknowledge the stress, the anxiety, the pressure, the PTSD, the things we see, the things we experience, the way people are treated. I know one doctor, she's African now, living in the UK. She left the clinical space because of how a patient's family spoke to her after the patient passed. And basically they were blaming her for what had happened, and she had come in after somebody change of shift and taken on a case that was already really bad. And they just felt like you didn't do enough, and what you did do made things worse. So that is a stress that it needs to be engaged on from undergrad to reg.
Because then if you do engage from undergrad, you're creating a cohort of students, or you're creating a society that's different to what's there.
Yes.
And that gets taken through until you get a
they
group
will
of
one day
interns.
be consultants.
Yeah, you get a group of interns who are like, well, I'm used to having a mental health day, or I'm used to, taking care of, or asking how my colleagues feel, or inquiring, oh, you don't look so good today. What's good? It becomes part of them. So then then they become the consultant, the registrars and the consultants.
Then they are the heads of
normal.
faculty.
Exactly.
This is unrelated. I'm probably going to cut it out of the video. But I was deputy chairperson. I think that's what vice chair of the SRC. Well, then we opened a postgraduate SRC at Stellenbosch. And I started something called the career fair. So I would call up companies, because I was in the medical science space. I'd call up Roche, I'd call up Merck, all these companies that either needed consultants, or that sold equipment, or that needed salespeople. And we'd have a literal fair, clowns. The machines, the campus refused because they were so big and it was ridiculous. But we ended up having like small games and places, and each professor, head of department, had a booth. So a student could go there and literally say, how did you become the head of a department? Or how did you become the guy who's running the only machine that can operate with these little tweezers things? That type of thing. And I never thought about it for medical students, because maybe this field is still new to me. I've never been a professional in the medical space. I've only been a student. So I don't have the connections yet. But I mean,
but it's so needed, right? Having a fair where it's like, what can you do with this degree? Because it really does it opens up doors you wouldn't believe. Like, people just hear your name or see your bank card and think, oh my goodness. Now imagine what that would mean. And if you want to be a medical anthropologist, if you want to be a medical sociologist, if you want to be a medical lawyer, what doors it opens.
Even if it was to begin doing a panel with those different, so have somebody from medical anthropology, have a virologist there, have somebody who makes curriculums for a living, have a consultant in the corporate space.
People who work for pharmaceuticals. Because the clinical track is really pushed. That agenda is pushed. So students know.
Access is readily available.
But actually, as well, students don't know. So students, there was a fourth year who said to me, how do you become a registrar?
What is a registrar?
So a registrar is someone
No, I mean, that means that they don't understand what is a registrar.
So it's, there's a lot of just assumed things, and people just, okay, you follow the path, somebody tells you. But if you would have that career day, how useful would it be?
Wow.
Coming into third year.
I'll think about it.
Let's
pass third year. Let's get through third year.
You're gonna get through.
Fourth year, I'll be more comfortable, I think. But I'm considering it. Okay. Those are the days.
Yeah.
We had a live session this week. It was terrible. It was
On Monday.
Oof.
What was terrible about it?
Was it? It was Tuesday.
We're panicking.
No, no,
The-
no.
the
It
plenary.
was It was no. The plenary was online. The live session was, but it ended up being somebody else
Okay.
because he wasn't available. But
It was bad.
yeah, that
Live when you mean like online or face to face?
No, live
Oh,
session.
face to face.
Face-to-face session. I don't think it's gonna work anymore.
Was it on Wednesday?
Tuesday?
Oh, Tuesday. Why was it bad?
Okay, for a game student who came in from online
Yeah.
to date, never had an in-person lecture. Literally never since I came back. To switch back to this style where the lecturer is there, at least for another subject maybe, but not for evidence-based medicine. It's the travel time, the malfunctions of the system. Now you are sitting there and you're stuck. You can't, while you're fixing things, I'm going to quickly work on an assignment. It's very limiting. I never realized how limiting live sessions were until we came back. I thought I wanted to go back.
Yeah.
Because learning wise, I feel like I learn better or faster with the lecturer there.
Right.
But I don't know anymore.
We should make it worth it. That's what we're trying to like shift to. Make coming in worth it.
Yeah.
When you come in for a learning activity, it has to be worth it. It can't just be, and it has to be something you can't get sitting on your desk by yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could have been online. And I'm not the only person who said that, but really that session, I'm like, why didn't they just record this? And this generation of
You guys are
students,
getting spoiled because next year, or when you get into your clinical years,
now you have to physically be
there
present.
and be on call.
Hi.
So salvage these times, enjoy them. Savor, not salvage. I'm always impressed with the stuff that you guys do outside of medicine. And I was saying to a student the other day, so we were talking
This
about
generation of med students.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was saying to a student actually, she came to see me and we were just discussing like artwork and the students who do artwork. And I said I want to start this like artwork competition. So we fill the halls of medical school with things that actually people are interested in seeing, right? And then I said to her, and this idea came to my mind, like when you're in school, it's not the greatest thing, right? Maths, okay, for me, I didn't like maths, I didn't like physics, but I knew I could go to drama class and I knew I could go to art class. And that's the mentality we should bring to the space. Like nobody likes studying all the drugs of TB.
No.
But if you know that you're gonna go home and like draw a little bit, or you're gonna go to, we had a med school musical when I was here. If you're gonna be part of a musical, it almost makes up for the kind of dread or the sadness
That comes with studying 24/7.
Exactly.
But there was in 2010, I think it was the World Cup that spurred it. There was this movement to fill not the halls of med school, it was downstairs. Before they built the museum,
Right.
they would put up student artworks. Those sculptures that are downstairs, it was during that time when they were installed. There was nothing there before.
Imagine, I mean, even this wardrobe, these pictures, I think it's historical, which is great, but can we have some sort of evolution? So these pictures to what it looks like now, and just even the outside of medical school, can we have
It's looked the same
from now until, so yeah.
Okay.
It's just how the culture of a space is so important. That's what I'm doing my research on. How the culture of a space influences the learning environment, how it influences learning in general. So yeah,
Awesome.
I mean, that's like a side.
As somebody who went to Stellenbosch, that is
Yes, you did.
really big. Okay.
Stellenbosch also had some positive culture, right? Like I like the fact that it had some camaraderie, sort of.
Later on, I was there 2012, straight after this, 2012, 13, 14, 15. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.